시자라고 하면서 미국이 대전의 현대적인 핵무기를 개발해야 한다는 것을 밝혀냈습니다. 앞으로도 세계는 핵무기에 의존하게 된다고 떠들고 핵군 습시되는 돈이 정말을 구하고 있다고 하면서 미래의 전쟁을 작전제어로 추정하는 것이 발발이 비웃고든 세력들입니다. 지난해 미국에 응한 민간단체는 비행정부가 앞으로 25년간 600억 달러를
In early 2014, Koryo Studio invited Slovenian photographer Matjaž Tancic to undertake a 3D photography project in North Korea, inspired in part by the country's own fondness for 3D photography to produce keepsake postcards and public art. Accompanied by Koryo's cultural engagement producer Vicky Mohideen, plus 2 North Korean guides, Mr. Kang and Mrs. Kim, the team were granted rare permission to photograph people living and working in different cities, towns and rural communities. They covered over 800 kilometers in this groundbreaking project, traveling from showcase capital Pyongyang to Kaesong in the south and as far north as the little visited industrial city of Hamhung, introducing the process of 3D photography to those they encountered.
So much. It's like a stage, you know. Everything there looks like a movie set or like a theater set. And then when you put in this set also North Korean person with their traditional, in this context called costume, or their typical clothes, it just definitely looks like a still from a movie. And without 3D glasses, it looks just as a normal photo. But when you put the 3D glasses on, you can almost look around them. You can discover the image and deconstruct it, a deeper look into North Korean society. So we brought this forgotten technology, we brought it back to North Korea and made a new material. Come on, this worker, he looks spectacular. So tall and proud and beautiful in such a, let's say, rough and hard, dirty environment.
This noise is just overpowering. You've got the clanking and clanging, and as with all factories, they have a little on-site band who play revolutionary music.
And they keep saying, oh, go more away, go more away. And I was like, come on, guys, what can happen? It's just a furnace, you know.
I think it's really striking. I think it's beautifully lit. I just think it's a beautiful image.
It's a combination of what I wanted and what is real and what is staged. I will definitely remember this shot forever.
This was a gorgeous day. This was a beautiful moment for us. We went to 2 cooperative farms. We travelled very far to get here. 3 hours to Wonsan and then another 2 or 3 hours to Hamhung in a tiny little van. It's quite a stern part of the country.
I want to show to the West that no matter what they hear about it, it's a country with normal people that live normal lives. There is no other way, no other better way to show it than it's through portraits.
It was one of those few moments where Matjaž actually was able to stop somebody quite naturally who wasn't presented to us as one of the few people that we were allowed to take a photograph of. She struck me so much as a lady that works on a farm and just wants to get on with her work. She wasn't starstruck or suspicious or any of those things that you associate with taking pictures in North Korea. She was just like, well, yeah, okay. People often talk about how North Koreans want to show us a certain side of the country and they're trying to display some sort of false idea of the country. It's certainly true that they only show you the very best that they have, but you can look at this photograph and say the very best farm that they have, they are planting rice by hand and they are using animals to transport things and to plough the field. It's back-breaking work.
The thing is, in North Korea, no matter if it's staged or if it's not staged, it's real in that place at that time.
14 years old.
Since I want to have pretty unified look and feel on the photo, I decided that I'm gonna keep using flash, and to achieve that I need an assistant. You can focus on looking at the people and situation, and you know that the technical part, it's gonna work.
I need a camera.
I was up to my knees in the mud, and Khan in his leather black shoes and long pants. He was basically hanging from the edge, holding the light, as close as was humanly possible for him.
Just a moment. Okay.
Okay, give me.
Yeah, stretch your arm with the flash.
He was amazing assistant because he completely got it. He understood which flash to take, where to stand, and then we start moving.
What if I drop you? Can you imagine?
We had a chance for natural discussion and jokes and engagement, and it didn't feel like we were part of this orchestrated project in North Korea. It felt like we were urbanites on a farm taking photographs of these people and their animals, and they thought we were idiots, and we probably are. In North Korea, they have school children's palaces, and they're for extracurricular activities, and the kids will go there after school. This is one of the few retro ones that's left. I think 1 tour a year goes here.
The music was actually amazing. The first song, I just want another song, and another song, I get goosebumps.
Everything about this room is very DPRK.
It's a perfect shot. With this piano in the back, red plastic flip-flops, portraits of the leaders, not to mention the serious look.
There's that rare moment of actual truth. She is literally looking at the camera and she's engaging with the audience through the photograph. I don't think she was that happy or comfortable, and I think it shows, and I think that's great.
Something that we would consider the easiest or the most common was the hardest. For me, a logical step to represent North Korea was also to shoot someone with a bicycle. But when I mentioned this, it was like quite a big no. They're like, no, I mean, this doesn't look, too developed. Oh, what about that biker? What about that biker? It was just no.
It's like having two artists that you're working with. On the one side, you've got the artists themselves, and then on the other side, you've got this very specific country that works with a very specific kind of rules that won't be budged on certain things. You can't just grab someone and say, let's take a picture. And I spoke to him about how he'd done it in south of China. And I was like, that just simply won't happen.
Then we came to this big fertilizer factory. All the workers had bikes, real people with real transport, and especially in front of this beautiful painted poster. Of course I was happy because it was another small victory for me.
It's one of my favourite places to go because the soldier guides are so funny and sweet, and they have a certain confidence and swagger that you don't often see there.
Despite the fact that I was officially on a trip as a photographer, it was quite a struggle. Why this person? Where? Also a little bit of unease. Outside of that soldier, can I take with the light? No? I usually had only 40 seconds per person, which is nothing, especially when you really try to do a great portrait, which means good location, good light, good pose, you know, good look in the eyes or expression of the people. I had even less time because they were really reluctant to take photo. But on the other side, I was really lucky because there was this window in the place with the amazing natural light.
This is exactly what you would expect to see. This is a soldier. He's looking very stern. Kang comes up to him and is saying, look, you can't move. And as soon as the photograph goes, don't move because he'll take more pictures. And he looks so nervous and so giggly. And then as soon as it's like, right, we're taking the picture, his face transforms.
I just placed him in front of the window, do a quick test, and a couple of seconds later he was already gone.
Nobody likes my photos. Such a hard country.
This picture of the woman in the foodstuffs factory in Pyeongseong is just beautiful.
Vicky told me, oh, that's the first time I actually see them work, because usually they don't have electricity. When there is no electricity, they change their clothes and they go out on the field and they grow the corn. And when the corn is ready, they harvest it and they use the corn to make these cookies. They had also some noodles and also some strong liquor. Everything made out of the corn or the wheat that they produced themselves on the fields.
They kept giving us tons of those biscuits, and while Matthias and Kang were taking photos of people, Oksok and I were in the background just like getting out of the shot, just like chomping biscuits. They were nice biscuits. We went into another room to take a picture of the guy with the cold noodle machine, and while we were in the room, the noodles came out of a gap in the ceiling and then went back up again, which was just really funny.
Again, it was really photogenic place for me. Good light, interesting machines.
I think this is very authentic. This is what a biscuit factory in DPRK is like.
Yeah, it was just a photo waiting to happen.
The groom is a soldier. That's the problem.
We decided to put Ham Hung on the itinerary because we really wanted to do something different with this project that hadn't been done before. And when Nick and I discussed it, certain people in the tours department were like, really, you're going to Ham Hung? You're not going to be able to take any pictures there. Because you can't, even the tourists can't, so how are you going to take a professional photographer there? It's even worse. And so we were like, we need to try and push the envelope, and there's no point us just going in and doing the same projects. We have to try and push it a little bit further.
자, 그럼 귀하신 선생님들께서 우리 수련님께서 걸으신 길을 따라 신성한 땅으로 들어가 보시겠습니다.
No, we're just entering the sacred world.
Yeah, we had to go through this game everywhere we went. When we went to a steel factory, first you go to museum. You are interested in, you go through 2 different floors, and you're like nodding and smiling and asking questions, but inside of you like just let's go, let's move, let's skip the museum, let's go to the factory, let's shoot. So sometimes I lost a bit of temper and was like, yeah, let's go. And it was always compromise, either to push through Vicky to go as fast as possible, or to try to explain your guides that I really want people. So that was also one of the clash we had. You're really not interested in museums, you just want to shoot people, which for them was so hard to understand and disappointing. I really saw disappointments in their eyes. And for me it was like, hell yeah, I mean, I really don't want all the museums, I just here for the people. So just, it was always how to communicate this as nice as possible, which was really difficult, but hence the amazing team. Vicky was outstanding. It's really without her, yeah, it would not be possible in such extent.
With a pipe. And you squeeze it and you can make a really horrible sound like this.
By the end of the trip, they were like, yes, we know, Matjaž, what you want. So that's why we arranged that out of the 4 floors of the museum, we're going to see only 2. And they also, you know, tried to push and get us whatever we want, even if it was a bit uneasy for them. So it was same in this photo in the university. We went to museum, we went to everything. And they were like, I was like, so, can we shoot one of the students? And they're like, no. Look, it's a beautiful student, can we shoot it? And they were like, okay, you know, let's shoot it, you know. And in the end, we got this shot. The light was one of the best lights possible. 3D effect, it's amazing. Beautiful subject in okay environment, but yeah, beautiful light, which, you know, does all the magic. It was worth spending then there an hour, being a little bit pain in the ass.
And he was so nervous, as I recall, very, very nervous. The idea of having his photograph taken. We were probably amongst the first foreigners he'd ever met. And he just looked so composed and fabulous, and the light is so beautiful.
The sport halls, concrete buildings, great architecture. My plan was definitely to get at least into some of those and get some photos of sportsmen there.
And this was a long and difficult day because we went to the maternity hospital before we came here. And I always find touring those hospitals really, really uncomfortable. It was just a very difficult day, and Matjaž just kept going for what he thought was the absolute best photograph. And that's the thing about photographers, is that sometimes it can be the uncomfortable thing about them, and sometimes it's the wonderful thing about them, is that they want the best photograph.
Since there was a big statue in front of the hall with a guy flying through the air with extended hands and legs, I was like, well, let's see if you can do this. I had to use the flash because it was pretty dark, and I saw there it casts interesting shadow.
Perfect, that's the last. One more time.
So with a couple of adjustments and angles, we took advantage of the shadow to make it photo even more interesting.
The stretch was not the best, but the shadow is perfect, so let's do it.
He wouldn't stop until he had absolutely the perfect photograph.
Okay, he can check, and if he's happy, then we'll finish. Otherwise, he repeats.
I show photo to him. I was like, look, it's good, but I think you could, you know, do it a bit better.
If he shows this to professor, is he gonna say good jump or bad jump? I'm serious.
이거보다 더 잘 할 수 있나? 이게 지금 사진보다 더 잘 할 수 있으면 한 번 더 하고 이거 최대라면 계속 이걸로 끝내고. One more.
And then he went, he ran, and he jumped, and he did this perfect